uh, Latino Leaders Magazine is very, very happy and honored to come closer to one of the finest educational institutions in the Midwest, which is Northern Illinois University. And recently, through our very good friend Ralph de la Vega, we were able to connect with Dr. Balaji Rajagopalan, which is the Dean of the School of Business there. And well, this school has tremendous plans and very wise strategies on how to grow and how to become one of the best schools for minorities and especially Latinos in this segment. So today we're very happy to have Dr. Rajagopalan with us. Doctor, good morning and welcome to the interview with Latino Leaders.
Thank you so much, Jorge. I am honored and truly humbled to have the opportunity to speak to you and the audience that has joined us this morning.
Thank you, Doctor. And what I would like to start by is getting to know you a little bit better. I know you are a popular dean in that university, and the School of Business is pretty successful in your campus. But I would like to ask you a little bit about your own origin, your passion for education and for business education, and your family background, education, and all that.
Thank you, Jorge. I come from the southern part of India. As I talk about my humble beginnings, and sometimes that equates to, as I say, husky beginnings, because many of our huskies that come to Northern Illinois University also have humble beginnings. We are proud of the fact that so many of them that come from very humble backgrounds, like I did, in the southern part of India, and came to the US in 1989 for higher education. Many of those that come to Northern Illinois University come with aspirations and ambitions, but they also come from very humble backgrounds. We have, as you rightly pointed out, a very reputed College of Business at Northern Illinois University. We are particularly proud of the fact that we serve a very diverse student body. Over 20% of our student body are Latinos, over 25% African Americans. We were recently listed by Poets and Quants as being the third most diverse College of Business in the entire country. So my humble beginnings and my background, which is a combination of engineering and business, and I came on to the US. One of the things that made it very, very special for me to join an institution like Northern Illinois is the fact that it serves such a diverse group of student body, but also those that come from very humble backgrounds. So it's been an opportunity of a lifetime for me to serve in this role.
Mm-hmm. Doctor, what has been the philosophy or the philosophy and the strategy that you've been followed since you were named or appointed to this position? What was your vision at the beginning when you came to the School of Business to develop it and to make it grow and be more relevant?
Thank you. When I came on board, as I've said, the College of Business had some standalone that set a really strong foundation. Are very fortunate to also have an outstanding group of faculty and staff who have served the institution for many years. The stage was set when I came on board. So to create a vision for the future was to build upon the success that we have had for so many years. And we set out with creating a vision that was centered around building a culture of innovation. The idea that we would be at the forefront of experimenting with ideas and creating new programs and new initiatives that were very relevant to prepare the leaders of tomorrow was one of the key pillars, as I say, of our vision for the future. A part of our vision for the future was also to be very cognizant of the diverse student body that we have. So we wanted to make sure that our efforts and our initiatives were relevant and were impactful for every student that joined the College of Business, not for a select few. So that is something that we have made it an integral part of the vision of the college. And I can proudly say, sitting here almost, a little more than 4 years into it, that we have had tremendous success in executing on that vision.
All right. Now, in this world that we're living, it's very important that colleges and universities reflect the realities of the society, reflect the realities of their communities, and that they live within, and especially towards the future, because all students are going to be graduating and they're going to be exiting to a world that has differences and has different features, and one of those is the importance for diversity. And I mean, many leaders now cannot conceptualize or cannot imagine a world in the future without having to consider and promote diversity in many different areas. So in terms of education and the way you see education, not only on your personal side, but also for the School of Business, what does it mean, this diversity factor for you and your plans and your philosophy of education?
That's an excellent question, Jorge. I mean, I think I would like to step back and for a second revisit mission of educational institutions broadly, and the mission of public education in particular, right? So the idea that public universities or educational institutions are primarily charged with preparing the citizens who contribute to a better society broadly. That is the mission. And if we take that as the context, diversity plays a central role, because if you want to prepare citizens who contribute to a better society, you cannot start with the premise that the institution will serve a few people, and it has to reflect the society. So first, I would say that what it means for us is that today diversity means that we can't prepare the leaders of tomorrow without the ability for them to understand people with different perspectives, people with different backgrounds. This is an imperative. So that's the first thing I would say what diversity means for us. The second I would say is that diversity, we are seeing conversations across the country today, also means social justice and equality for all, that we have to have the difficult conversations, and that is an important part of what an educational institution should embrace and educate our students. The third I would say is that diversity also means empowering voices that perhaps have been suppressed for a long period of time, and listening to those voices and acting on them. Diversity to me today also means educating not just minds, but hearts as well. Because that is the premise of what a higher education institution is to educate hearts and minds. And I'd say that, the broader responsibility that I spoke about, the mission, today diversity, we have to go back to that, reminding ourselves of the responsibility to serve humanity. And that is diversity. That is as an important part and a pillar of diversity. Working towards uplifting the lives of everyone in the society is an important part of diversity. So when we have these perspectives of diversity that is ingrained in everything that we do, it doesn't become an afterthought. It is part of everything that we do as an institution of higher learning. It should be a part of everything that we do as a college of business. And it is ingrained in the fabric of our culture. And that has driven us more than anything else. It is rooted in the mission of higher education. I think that I can go on and on, but I hope our audience has gotten at least a glimpse for the value that we place on diversity and the importance of diversity for every higher education institution in the country if they are to prepare citizens of tomorrow, to change lives, and to contribute to a better world.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Dr. Rajagopalan, you mentioned something very important, which is the business philosophy, because I mean, our country is based on business, right? And it is one of the best things we do as Americans is business, and philosophy towards diversity in business has to do also with a global vision, right? And in this sense, also diversity could be seen as a business strategy for corporations, for organizations, for governments, so I think what you said is very, very important to better a better society, prepare the leaders of tomorrow, have justice and equality, and empowering the voices, and create a business culture.
Yes, I think that you you hit upon something that that is very critical, because research has shown for many years that the more diverse your team is, the better perspectives that they have in creating ideas for the business, like you said, and innovation, and the ability to execute on new ideas is better informed, and there are better outcomes when you have a more diverse team, when you have people that can understand diverse perspectives. So it's a very important point, and an extension of what I talked about. If you are to prepare leaders, that this creates business value from that standpoint, and it is real, that understanding different perspectives leads to better outcomes for businesses, and that's being established. It's not a thesis that is unproven. It has been proven over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you listen the word university, you expect to see a universal environment, right? With many races, many cultures, many languages, many disciplines and sciences, and so what better for a university right in the middle of the country, in the Midwest, to be like that. So I think that's a a great ability. Now, Dr. Rajagopalan, we are living in very challenging times, and I think what we are living, at least the last time you and me met at your campus at the beginning of the year, we never imagined that what we were going to have to live through because of the COVID pandemic. And I know that this has been especially difficult for organizations like colleges, universities, and schools. So how has this pandemic affected the campus life, the programs, the classes, the dynamics of the everyday university, college, campus life, and also the perspectives for the education of your students?
Thank you. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I think when we met last on campus, and you had the, you took some time off and came in and visited us, as you walked around, I hope you felt the energy in the building, right? So you were able to see your students, you were able to see the faculty and staff and engagement that happened, both within the classrooms, but also in the common spaces. So yes, fast forward a few months, and we see more buildings that have very few people in them. So you're absolutely right that COVID has definitely put a dent on that. How has it changed? I think that certainly it has made us think about the importance of engagement, right? So, I mean, you saw that energy, you saw the value of human interaction and engagement, and how impactful that can be. While this situation has made us pivot to a model where we are not able to see people face to face as much, it has challenged us to think about how we can create that energy in a virtual environment. Here we are, on Zoom, and you are able to see me as well as you saw me when you came into my office on campus, and we are able to have a very meaningful conversation. So I think that you think about ways in which we probably did not think before of engaging our students, engaging with our peers, with our colleagues through technology. So it has made us, think more about the power of human engagement, but this time in a different setting. So while we miss the face-to-face mode of engagement, we have also recognized that engagement is very important. And we can create that engagement by virtual means. It is different. We will not be talking about replicating exactly, but that's not the point. The point is that engagement is important, and we can find with ways of engaging our students. And I can tell you that many ideas have come forth that we have implemented to engage students, in this type of a virtual engagement seminars, far more than we have done in the past. We would not have done as much before. So the situation has prompted us, has challenged us to think about if that human engagement is so important, how are we going to maintain that engagement? How are we going to even perhaps in some ways increase and enhance that engagement? Several of our students, I hope, are on this, on the session listening to our conversation. And that is the power of technology today. We've been reminded that we may have overlooked how much we can do if we had thought about what the technological advancements have enabled, but because we had the face-to-face and we had other avenues to engage, we paid perhaps a little bit less attention to it. So it's and students are seeing it firsthand. I mean, to your point about how are students adapting, I mean, they are seeing firsthand the impact of technology, even though they, many of them are what we call as digital natives and have had the opportunity to actually experience technology early on. Even for them, the extent to which it is deployed today in this circumstance is an eye-opener. So we've all learned a lot from it. I mean, you talked about the global partners. We have partners out in Bogota, Colombia. We have partners in China. And all of our partners have also, we have engaged with them by visiting them. They have visited us. But now, this technology platform is allowing us to engage with them in a different way, and in some ways even more frequently than we did before. So I think that new opportunities have been created with this situation. Our faculty are studying, for example, the impact of crises on people, their behavior, and how we can manage that, and their research efforts to advance our understanding of humans and when they face difficult challenges, how they respond to it. So it's given them an opportunity to study people under a different circumstance. And I think that research that they are doing would be quite impactful and would help us in the longer run, because challenges are going to come, whether it is a pandemic or whether it is some other type of challenges. They are part of our life. And for us to understand how we can help people cope with them And this provides an important context, and several of our faculty are studying that as well. So I hope I've given you some sense for how, the COVID has created opportunities, has certainly placed some challenges, but also created some opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, because what we have seen, for example, in our magazine, interviewing people, especially now that we are doing our Latinos on Boards edition, in which we pretend to publish this interview in our print edition. What we are seeing and what corporate leaders are telling us is that there's three types of impacts for the COVID in corporations. Those who are heavily impacted, industries that are going to have to change completely their business model, like maybe airlines or cruise lines, or restaurants and bars and things like that. And then there's the ones that are moderately impacted, or they are impacted on a third way by their supply chain value and providers and things like that. And those who are not that impacted, but they need to contribute to how to make it better. But the fact of the matter is that everybody is going to undergo changes and evolution. And this hit of the COVID is making all of us kind of a fast forward evolution. So you are just mentioning these maybe advantages that COVID has brought to you and your college, and that's precisely how leaders think. I mean, what opportunities are we seeing from crisis, right? So now I would like to see, going into not only the changes that we had to do with the COVID, but those who are going to stay, those who are going to become permanent and maybe enhance the future of education, the future of colleges. And I know it's a very debatable topic, because some universities are wanting students back to the campus, and students are wanting back to some others are very happy with online, education and all that. So in your perspective, how do you see the future of education going forward from this moment on?
Great question. I think that even before the pandemic, all of us know that technology has been slowly, in some cases quite rapidly, changing business models. You gave some examples. And I think the pandemic, as you rightly put it, accelerated some of those changes that were already happening in the marketplace, right? So in business models and with so many industries that were happening. And for us to reflect on what is yet to come, I think a little bit of a reflection on what has happened is perhaps somewhat instructive, right? So if you look at Industrial Revolution and the kind of changes that it brought about, it brought about changes in occupations by putting a lot of structure, meaning that a lot of jobs were created because of the Industrial Revolution, whether it is the manufacturing assembly line or whether it is business processes, which were very structured. So jobs were created where you had a lot of structure. So if you mastered the steps to perform the job, you probably had a job for a lifetime. And some of our parents and our parent generation lived it. They did the same thing, perhaps for a lifetime, right? So, but then you fast forward and you look at the information age and the era that is changing the way that we perform our tasks and functions and business models, and rapidly being not just a substitute for some of the structured tasks that can be done by automation, whether it is done by robots or bots, but it is completely transforming industries and creating new opportunities, because it is eliminating structured tasks, not just substituting a few of them. So you asked me to reflect on the future of higher education. Yes, it is in the context of COVID, but what I would say is that I think you rightly pointed out that while some of these things happened in the context of COVID, the acceleration of what was already happening is an important development that we need to keep in mind as we think about the future. So as I talked about the structured tasks really being upended by the digital revolution, humans would be challenged to solve a lot of unstructured problems. And I think as I think about education of the future, how do we prepare our students for the unstructured problems? And unstructured problem solving, in most instances, they're more complex. They're more interdisciplinary. They require a team of people. They require diverse perspectives. So all of these things are intertwined as we think about the future of education. And you talked about technology, and rather than in the past when we have talked about technology as being, playing a role or as an afterthought, how can we do it? Now, there is no conversation that we can have without the technological context in mind. So it's not that we try to solve a problem and then we try to figure out what technology. Every time we think about problems that we are solving, technology is an integral part of that conversation. So as we think about preparing mindsets of students, that is very, very important, that we prepare them for unstructured problem solving. We make them think about technology as an integral part of it, that education would require our students to have emotional intelligence and being able to work with a diverse group that, people drawn from different backgrounds. These are going to be some important things in the future of higher education as we think about. I think that, we are not going to be having conversations that, are we doing things online? Are we doing things here? We're going to be talking about how we create competencies in leaders of the future, and technology will always play some role in it. It is for us to think about the best way to enhance the competencies, and with technology being part of every discussion that we have. So that, I think, is the future of higher education, is for us to constantly challenge ourselves, to prepare leaders of the future that can do these things, unstructured problem solving, complex problems, interdisciplinary, that, their ideas are not limited to a discipline, working with a diverse group, drawn from different backgrounds, cultures, language. And I think that to me is the essence of our thinking that is needed as we think about the future of higher education.
Now, what you're mentioning is very interesting, because when you see the future of higher education and all the relevance that has elements like technology, as you were mentioning, and emotional intelligence and all that, you also need to talk about how to become a leader in business, right? Because business is, as we spoke at the beginning, is one of those forces that is driving the world and has driven the world for ever since we probably started civilization. Business, interchange of products, creating wealth, making people have a better lives. And so from your standpoint and from the standpoint of the school business of NYU, how do you see the necessities and the relevant points for students to become leaders in business, and with what kind of set of values they should be using to become leaders?
It's a very loaded question, and we can spend an entire interview on that question, but it's an excellent one as well. So I'll try to hit hopefully a few points that are helpful. The first I would say is that the idea that learning begins and ends at some point is a thing of the past. We have to be lifelong learners. So the idea that we are constantly absorbing learning, the lifelong learning has to become a part of the DNA of leaders, because that is the only way that they can continue to lead organizations into the future. If at some point they have stopped learning, then they will cease to be leaders. So that's the first thing I would say. The second I would say is that, challenges are going to come at different points in time and are always everywhere. Leaders have to have a mindset of optimism, a positive approach to a solution-oriented approach and a solution-oriented mindset. Whether it is the pandemic today or whether it is something else, leaders are going to be challenged in many ways. And I would say the second thing is, it is their approach to solving problems and the orientation that they bring that will make all the difference. The third thing I would say is that leaders will also, in different roles that they play, will always be challenged to make very, very difficult decisions. Integrity is going to be a very important pillar that they will have to hang on, and at no cost that they lose the integrity in making these very difficult decisions. Then I would say that a transformative mindset, is important, more important than at any time in the history. Challenging the status quo and asking the question why. Something as simple as that would lead them to answers and solutions that they have never thought of. And two other points is as leaders, the importance of genuinely caring about the people, whether it is people that they work with, people that the community that they live in. True leaders genuinely care about people, and they have to be authentic, and they have to truly care about the people around them. And that has to be something that they have to live every day, and people have to see it. It's not enough for them to simply talk about it, but they have to be role models in truly caring about people. And the last and one of my favorite is humility. Nobody is perfect. Leaders are not perfect. We will make mistakes. We will fail. And we will fall down. We will not have answers to questions. Having the humility to say when you are wrong that you are wrong, or when you failed that you have failed, and to learn from it, to learn from everybody that can provide you with the knowledge so that you can get better every day, is the cornerstone of leadership, because that is the way that you can get better every day. And you will rise, not fall, in the eyes of people when you accept a mistake. You will rise, not fall, in the eyes of others when you tell people you have failed. You will rise, not fall, in the eyes of people when you learn from the mistakes that you have made. So I hope I've offered some thoughts for people to think about as they think about leadership.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's a very interesting point of view and very powerful group of points to live with the philosophy of school business like yours. Now, I would like to make a break to go and try to answer some of the questions that we've been accumulating during the interview. I guess some of them are students and members of the maybe staff or faculty, and some others are just guests out there. So I'm gonna now transfer to Jimena, who is the one coordinating the questions. So please, Jimena, go ahead.
Yes, so first question comes saying, can you comment on NIU's recent announcement that it will not use ACT or SAT scores for admission? How do you think that will impact the future admission candidates? And what tools will you use to decide on who is admitted?
Yeah, it's an excellent question. I think I began by talking about the mission of universities and public education in particular. And this is an excellent question from a variety of standpoints, because there are people that have important perspectives that are very different. And there are people that will argue and have evidence to show that there is value in having standardized tests. But there is also mounting evidence that speaks to the fact that over the long run, the tests haven't really been predictive of student success really over the lifetime of the student. There is also research that shows that the students that come from disadvantaged backgrounds are disproportionately challenged by the standardized tests. And so it is a question for us as leaders as to not talk about as one being the right approach and the other being the wrong approach, but more so to take the perspective that best serves the student body that we have committed to serving. And we have committed to serving a vast majority of students, many of them coming from underprivileged backgrounds. So our university's decision is set in that context of continuing to serve the group that we have committed ourselves to serve and to enhance their success over the long run. We see our role as being not so much as gatekeepers, but as providing more of access to high quality education to our students that come in, and provide them the toolkits for them to be successful. So I believe that it is tied to the mission of the university more than our stance that this is the right approach and the other approach is wrong. So, I think I want to put that decision in perspective as to who we are, who we serve, and the decision to have that is set in the context of who we serve, who we proudly serve, and we will continue to have that approach. So I hope that answers that question in the broader context of who we serve.
Yes, no, perfect. So for a second question, could you talk about some examples where the College of Business is partnering with other colleges or organizations across campus to better prepare students, including Latino and other minority students, for success after college?
Well, thank you. That is an excellent question. And I had it, certainly on my mind to talk about a couple of ones. As I began by talking about the fact that we are very proud of the fact that we serve a very diverse student body, and to reiterate the Poets and Quants ranking of how proud we are of as being the third most diverse business school according to their list. So that also comes with a huge responsibility. It is not enough to talk about the fact that you are very diverse. It comes with a huge responsibility of us saying, what are we doing to make sure that this diverse student body, people coming from different backgrounds and cultures, are provided the opportunity to be successful. And so I'll mention a couple of things. And the first is we have a student organization, Alpha, which is the Latino professionals in the College of Business, that is led by one of our faculty members as a faculty advisor. And it is one of the most active student organizations, not just within the college, but across campus. They engage with students, Latino students in high schools, and bring them on every year, engage them with what we do and the kind of diversity we have and the support structure that we provide them to be successful. And so it's so a student organization, I think that exemplifies truly, how we can partner with students and be a partner with them in supporting them. So that's one example. We have an excellent Latino resource center on campus that serves the entire NIU community in a way. We partner with organizations that have placed a huge emphasis on diversity. PricewaterhouseCoopers comes to mind, a huge emphasis on diversity, and they partner with us on several initiatives. So the list is long, but I want to say that it is by creating opportunities that every student in the College of Business can be successful, can truly we serve and be proud of the fact that we are a diverse organization. It is not simply enough for us to talk about that we are diverse. We have to back it up with evidence and support for every student in the college, and that certainly is what we are attempting to do.
Someone's asking about the Innovation Creativity Lab. Could you talk about that and what your hopes and plans for that is?
Yes, I'm very thankful for the question first, because it is one of the most exciting projects that we embarked on a couple of years back. It is a project that ties into what I talked about in my response to the very first question, and that is about the vision and the vision of the college to embrace the idea of experimentation of ideas and creativity and innovation being part of that. So we wanted to provide a space that is the hub for students, faculty, staff, and our community to join forces and to experiment with ideas, particularly students that come in with ideas, and some of these ideas may turn into real businesses. But more than anything else, we have, through the process of them thinking about new ideas and experimentation, created an entrepreneurial mindset in our students, which is an important competency for students that are going into the workforce of tomorrow. So we are very excited about the launch of the creativity project. At this time, there are some exciting developments that I'm not privy to say at this time, but I hope you will stay tuned to some exciting developments that we can announce sometime in the months to come. I can say that construction is ongoing, and we have received tremendous support from our alumni. But I would want to save some of the highlights and some of the splash that we can make with that project for a later time.
Great. Excited to hear more about that later. So for a final question, what do you think that with the pandemic, it's affecting the first year students' engagement with other students, and in the long run affecting the diversity for the students?
A good question. I think that it certainly is going to make it challenging, but it all depends on how we respond to it. I do think that we can do things to make sure that we continue to serve the population that we are committed to serve. I'll give you one example of how, thanks to our staff that came up with the idea of what we call as a new student initiative, because of this pandemic, because of the lack of the personal engagement and tie, that we have about almost 45 faculty and staff sign up as volunteers to engage with a small group of students. So I personally engaged recently with about 10 students who are freshmen or recent transfers, a diverse group of 10 students. And every faculty member or staff member that has signed on for this program on a regular basis engages with this small group of 10 students in a small group setting to understand what are the challenges that they are facing. How is it that we can continue to support them? So it is by creating these new ways of engaging with them that we can address the challenges that have come forth because of the pandemic, we've lost that face-to-face engagement. But that doesn't mean that we cannot address it in a different way. And we have begun that process already. And I can tell you the 10 students that were on my call the other day, we're so grateful and thankful that they are able to engage with me and talk to me and talk about what they miss and how we can support them better. By creating that support structure, I believe that even if the pandemic has thrown the different challenges, I believe that we can overcome those challenges by taking the approach of committing and really showing our commitment to diversity and the different backgrounds that students come from. So it's a question of how we address it that would make all the difference.
Great. Well, before starting to wrap, Dr. Rajagopalan, I would like to ask you, we've been talking about what a great school of business and a university can do, and what kind of strategies and what kind of projects and ideas and philosophies are behind a good education, specifically education for students that are looking for the future of their own careers. But I would like now to turn the tables around and see what do you think a student needs to do or needs to have in order to be successful in a school like yours? We both know that leaders are created in every or risen in many different environments and different organizations and different circumstances. But a common factor of leaders is that they have a special drive that maybe not many others have, right? And this drive could mean initiatives, could mean hard work, could mean determination, could mean many factors. So in your point of view, what is the student that comes to your college needs to do also to get most out of it and the most advantaged position, especially to go out and find a new or a good job after attending the School of Business?
Thank you, Jorge. I think that you touched upon a few of them, right? Some of them are universal in the sense that it doesn't. They are things that we need for our future leaders or professionals to be doing, no matter which institution they attend. So some of these are universal. A couple of them may be a little bit more specific to our institution. So I'll speak to both. I think the first you talked about the work ethic, and every time you had an organization, you talked to many corporate leaders, and I'm sure you have heard it as many times as I have, the importance of the work ethic. That is something that it keeps coming up every time that employers are looking for people, and that mindset, if our students can come into the programs when they come into NIU and the College of Business with a work ethic, the hard work that they will do, and there is really not anything that will stop them from working even harder than what they've done in the past. One of the alums that I had a conversation with once was asked by a student, what did you do when something didn't work for you, or something that you failed at something? And I really loved the powerful response of the alum. He said, I just worked twice as hard. And it seemed so simple, but that speaks to what you talked about, and I'm emphasizing the work ethic and hard work. So, I mean, that is universal. It is not specific, but I would say that certainly is. And if you think about what we say, Huskies never quit, is our kind of tagline, and that speaks to the work ethic that we and that can come from I think we attract, as I said, students from humble backgrounds, and I think that there is a part of it, a significant part of it, that is part of the DNA, because they come from humble backgrounds. There is no other. I mean, they see it in their personal lives. They're challenged. They have to work hard. So when they come here, that is part of their DNA. So that is something that I would say. Hard work, as you talked about, is certainly one thing. I think the second thing I would say is that adaptability and resilience is going to be increasingly even more important. It was always important for you to be adaptable and resilient, but as we look at what is happening in the world and the changes that are happening, be adaptable, be open to change, because the world will change and is changing, and perhaps at a faster pace than it ever did. So adaptability and resilience, in addition to hard work, is something that I hope they create that kind of mindset. And the third thing I would say is that's a little bit more specific, is that we in the College of Business at Northern Illinois University, we have almost a 50-year history from its inception of building partnerships. And this is a partnership with Latino leaders, and we are proud that we have this opportunity to engage. Take advantage of it. We have built these partnerships, whether it is with corporate, whether it is with nonprofits. Take advantage of those opportunities to learn outside the boundaries of the classroom, because we have worked very hard for many, many years, and we continue to build new partnerships, whether it is with with an incubator in downtown Chicago called Matter, or whether it is with the small and medium-sized businesses around our campus through the Ignite program, or through this partnership with Latino leaders. We have partnerships, or our partnership with the university in Bogota, Colombia, where we offer our program. We have so many opportunities that give you the ability to learn, leverage every opportunity that we are providing you through these partnerships, because some of them will change your life. And you will be talking about how that experience that you had, that we were able to provide you, and you took advantage of it 20, 30 years from now, that you will reflect on it and talk about how that changed your entire life. So leverage those partnerships. So in the interest of time, I'll leave it at there. But I hope that gave you a little bit of a perspective for students coming in, to be ready, prepared, and be successful in the world that they will be getting into, and the new journey that they will embark on.
Excellent. Well, I think we have a very good conversation for an interview with you and your visions and the visions of the School of Business. And I think we have discussed many hot, current, relevant topics that are not only important for the student population, but also for those leaders that want to know more about, the philosophy behind education in some schools like yours. And hopefully they can, start thinking of your alumni as potential good collaborators and good colleagues for these companies. So I want to thank you, and with this, ask you if you have anything else to add before I ask you another question that has nothing to do with the interview, but I need to do it.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to engage with Latino leaders. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk. You mentioned alumni, and I think it is important for me to mention that one of the ways that for us to continue to serve the students that are part of our community today is to refer them to role models. You spoke about alumni, and Ralph De La Vega, as you know, is an alum of NIU and has, already engaged with us in so many ways and will continue to engage with us and inspire us. And people like Ralph can inspire a generation. I think what I want to say in closing is to say that we have so many alumni, Ralph being on the top of that list, who can inspire. And I hope that we can continue to connect the dots for our students to look up to leaders like Ralph, who came from, humble backgrounds and achieved, success that you could call the pinnacle of the profession. So we are very proud of our alums, and particularly Ralph. I can't say enough about how he has engaged, how he has already helped us, how he will continue to engage with us. I'm excited about the prospect. But more importantly for students, to be able to look at a Ralph and have the confidence to say that I come from humble background and I can do it too. I can be successful as well. And that confidence can mean a lot for our students. And I hope that we can connect the dots and put leaders like Ralph in front of our students to inspire them. So that's my final point that I would like to make. And once again, thank you so much for the opportunity.
No, thank you. And I think that this is where we close the circle, because we feel that our magazine also has, our publication also has a mission to inspire leaders and to collaborate or help and support in creating leaders for the future. And education has a lot to do with what we also do as a magazine. So we really appreciate your input and we really appreciate your ideas. Thank you for your time. And then the last question that I want to ask you, and this is off the record, is many people are asking for QR code for credits that they are supposed to have for watching this interview or participating on it. But we are telling them, we don't know anything about a QR code. Maybe you and your office can let them know what is it about.
Yes, if our staff will coordinate. If you have some data on those that have registered and were in attendance, I'm sure our staff can work that out. So thank you.
Yeah. I think Paola can get a list of all the email addresses that were registered, and we can send it to you, so you can provide them with whatever you need to. So again, thank you very much. We wish you great success with all the return to classes, and a very successful fall semester, and hopefully everything goes well, and we stay healthy and safe with all the student community and society in general. And I look forward to see you again soon. Hopefully we can do more things and more projects together.
Yes, I am very excited. This is only the start of a great partnership between Northern Illinois University's College of Business and Latino Leaders. I hope to, co-host many such events, virtually as well as physically, when it is safe to do so. I very much look forward to seeing you in person as well. So thank you very much.
All right. Excellent. And thank you very much to all of those who watched. And again, thank you very much, Dr. Rajagopalan. It was a privilege.
Thank you so much, Jorge.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.